welcome back to Open Division Season 3. I'm your host, Gio, and today we've got a pretty hype matchup between teams NYYRIKKI and Trailblazers. I am joined by my analysts, Paul Zavol and Beatdown Boulevard. Hey, guys.
Hey.
What's up?
So today is basically going to be English speakers try to pronounce Finnish names because we have got two completely Finnish teams playing. Now, they've got a massive rivalry dating all the way back to the 2017 Summer Assembly. What is this going to mean for the winning, or maybe even more importantly, the losing team, guys?
Well, I mean, to start off, these guys have, like you said, they've been rivals for so long. They've known these guys are like the classic anime rivals. They go back and forth throughout their years, and now here they meet in the Open Division. Both teams 7-0, and they're just trying to make their playoff run.
Yeah, and whichever team wins this gets locked in for the playoffs. So it's not just about the rivalry, it's about the future in the esports scene.
I think it's going to be pretty hype. I'm very excited to see. Paul, both teams have pretty different play styles. We have NYYRIKKI, who like to play more kind of methodical. Trailblazers are a lot more kind of aggressive. Given the state of the current meta, who do we think has the edge here?
So naturally, I want to say Trailblazers. They like to run the 3-3, 3 support, 3 tank composition, which we've seen be very effective. It's kind of difficult to counter, even when you get a Pharah or a Junkrat in there to deal heavy damage. But based on what we've seen at the World Cup this weekend, with teams like Canada and US bringing out Sombra and Doomfist really effectively to counter this 3-3 composition, I think if NYYRIKKI can shift away from the double sniper that they've supposedly liked and shift on to that and do it right, they could win this out.
Yeah, like we've heard that NYYRIKKI like to play Pharah Widow compositions. So, Beat, how would you expect the team to play around that to combat Trailblazers?
To play around the Widow Pharah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just gonna be support the Pharah with a lot of basically frontline damage. You know, either distract them so that nobody else except for maybe an enemy Pharah can focus him, so that it will pretty much become on him, and also try to peel for the Widow if you can. You know, especially if your Widow is the one popping off, you want to keep them alive, healthy, and blow it heads up.
Yeah, especially when we go into control for the first map, the tanks are going to have to be very comfortable with the idea of giving up space and giving up percentage to enable their DPS, which are going to be more pick composition and a bit slower.
Yeah. I mean, Trailblazers have told us that they feel like Escort and Hybrid are both their best map types. Now, of course, we play all 4 map types in the series, but if you were them, which maps from the pool would you kind of hope to see that you be playing, and why?
If I'm Trailblazers, the first map you want to go to is Lijiang, right? Every single stage on Lijiang favors the 3-3 comp they love to run. Nepal's not the same way. You can run dive on Nepal. In Sanctum, the meta gets really weird. So you want it to be on Lijiang Tower, first and foremost.
Yeah. Pete, what about you?
What maps do I want to see? I think if you're Trailblazers, you probably want to go to. It's a tough one. I'm thinking for Escort, I want to say Rialto instead of Watchpoint Gibraltar. But you know, we know Rialto has such a difficult clear rate, but it is better for the tank comps they like to run. So it's I'd still say Rialto over Gibraltar just because they may have trouble with the Widow duels.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, and it's obviously who knows what maps are going to come up. It kind of depends on who wins which map, right? Because the loser picks the next map. But
True.
These teams, they're so close. We've said they're both 7-0 right now. Whoever wins this one is locked in for playoffs. They're both doing this big battle for Finland, this massive rivalry. But who do you think is going to win? This is a tough question.
No, I think it's an easy question. I think it's going to be Trailblazers. This is a meta where being aggressive is just the way to go. Obviously not too overly aggressive, but you need to get in there. You can't just passively wait for team fights to happen and go to your favor. So yeah, I'm giving it to Trailblazers.
I'm I'm ready for Trailblazers to win, but I want NYYRIKKI to try and pull out some of those comps I was talking about earlier, and I think if they can do that right, they're gonna win. So I'm gonna call it Trailblazers, but I'm ready to flip-flop.
All right, well, sounds pretty interesting. We'll see what happens. But for now, we're going to throw to our casters, Trynock and Suds and Bubbles. We'll see you there.
Hey, what's up, guys? Suds and Bubbles here. We've got Trynock joining us. He's going to be helping me do some casting here. So, hype match coming up here, Trynock.
Yeah, hype match indeed. Now that I've unmuted myself, one of those things I thought I would never do, but I did indeed do it. So, Suds, they were talking about giving the tanks providing space for the Pharah and the Widow. And in a map like Nepal, space can be quite a vital aspect in many of the different sections. How do you think that sort of like controlling of the space is going to work out with these teams?
So, we know that Trailblazers like to play that more aggressive composition. So, it's going to be up to the tanks of NYYRIKKI to really try to stymie that aggression so that their DPS that like to play from that ranged area can actually take control. And on some of these maps on Nepal, especially Sanctum, that can be very difficult running the more ranged DPS when you're in such an enclosed space playing against those aggressive tanks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we have Koea here who loves playing on the Winston, which can be quite an aggressive sort of movement using the Winston over the environment dash, bashing people off with the Primal Rage. How do you think that's going to factor in terms of their tank lineup?
I think that's going to be the big thing here is if we see that Winston D.Va come out, they have a lot of opportunities to be shutting down the Pharah and Widowmaker from the side of NYYRIKKI. So it should be looking pretty good here for Trailblazers, especially on these more open maps too, where they can kind of take this high ground and control that space.
Yeah, high ground definitely going to be key here. And then especially, I mean, the first section that we're coming into now, there's not a lot of environmental damage unless you're playing really far on the right-hand side. So we're possibly going to see the teams moving more onto the safe side, going to have your team fights off control point there and try to win that first fight. What is your prediction of that first fight that we're going to see in this map?
So looking at the potential starting team comps here, I think we are going to see a favoring towards Trailblazers. That Hammond can be very devastating on the initial push, and especially with as aggressive as I like to go. I take that completely back. We're still in spawn. They're going to be playing the Winston D.Va. That's what they like to play. They like to be aggressive. They like to push in, and if they can get in here, take control of this high ground, they can probably take control of this fight as well as the Widow battle, or the Pharah battle.
Yeah, the Pharah battle, denying that space. Both teams running the dive comp, and these teams, as I said, there's a lot of history of rivalry, so they know each other really well. So I'm looking forward to seeing quite balanced fights in these team fights.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get straight into it here with the teams just kind of jockeying for position.
Yeah, jockeying for position, and immediately Leopardef goes down in the Winston, and this is looking like a good start for Trailblazers. They finally have the point, they're on the point, they have the numbers, and that's going to be the first cap going to them.
That's right, and just really good damage coming out from Olu throughout that fight. Wasn't terribly contested by the opposing Pharah and was able to get the initial damage onto the tanks of NYYRIKKI.
Yeah, but Trailblazers, they're not holding back. They're going immediately back into this with their D.Va Domos on the point. They're going to try get this cap, just snuck it out from underneath the team of NYYRIKKI. That's going to be a bit of a hard one for them. The flip is on. They are on the point now. Now it's up for NYYRIKKI to do contest, get this back. I had my team sides the wrong way. I mean, Trailblazers have to get this back because NYYRIKKI just capped it.
That's right, and that was a really sneaky cap, but which also allowed them to get a couple of kills as the team was distracted. But Trailblazers are going to come back in here and try to take control again.
Trying to take control immediately with that aggressive Transcendence onto the point. They got Calico, they're just locking it down, but the self-destruct is going to be on that point. They do have Mirage to help secure it a bit more, but that's going to not help them out too much because the team of Trailblazers, they just back off, reform, come back and fire.
Yeah, and Olu again really shining on that Pharah, getting a lot of the damage, a lot of the kills there, and now he's going to be sitting on the Rocket Barrage, Barrage on the other side as well as the Valkyrie for the Mercy, so that could be a good entry into this fight for NYYRIKKI.
a great entry. Trailblazers are going to be sitting on their Primal Rage, the Barrage, and the Self-Destruct, which can use to great effect. And it's just a lot of skirmishes happening, not too many solid team fights. Self-Destruct does manage to find Brokey, don't have that support, but they are going to try cap onto the point once again. Trailblazers moving on to immediately try shut that down. The bubble there is going to be able to help them. Primal Rage coming out from Korea now. That Winston, let's see what he can do with this. He is just bashing around his counterpart Winston, just trying to get him off the point, and they are managing to defend this quite nicely. But it seems like there's the opposing Primal Rage, and this is just going to be huge for them. If they can stick on that point, if Brokey can stay there, he is going to get the flip, and that's it. That's the team fight. NYYRIKKI just trading back and forth.
Trading back and forth, but the key there was they took out both supports right at the start of the fight as the Diva Bomb came out from Cali. And now there is a little bit of an ult advantage for the Trailblazers. They still have that Rocket Barrage. They can try to get in here with a Pulse Bomb pick, as well as use that Valkyrie to keep the team up and increase that damage.
Looks like they're not going to even try let it get through there, although Oli comes in with Rocket Barrage, gets punished for just sitting out in the open. The res from Hepper has to keep Farmers alive. You want to get those supports going, they have to stay in this fight. Domos doesn't have a mech, he's just running around his little baby diva, and the Valkyrie from Hera just keeping Winston alive, keeping him going. They do manage to clear out that attempt at blocking them from getting to the point, and now they're on the point themselves. But Leopard Def and Brokey aren't saying no, they're going to be staying on this point, just trying to keep it as long as possible until the team can get back. If they can deal with them, which they do, there's the flip. They only need 30%.
And Olu was instrumental for that cap. Coming around, he did get punished using his Rocket Barrage, but it was enough damage and a couple of kills to allow his team to get in through that little choke point. And that's what allowed them to get in there and actually start to contest the point. So really good from him. Now we're going to see Bido holding onto a Rocket Barrage. The ultimates have basically just flipped. Both tank ults for Trailblazer should allow them to make enough space to get this point up to 99%.
Yeah, but NYYRIKKI's not holding back, immediately going onto the point, straight up with the Self-Destruct, and that Primal Rage is going to be ready to go soon. Vital still sitting on that Rocket Barrage, could be used quite deadly. Primal Rage comes out from Kohia finally, as he's just going to jump and clear out the point. Finds himself in a bad situation, and Hacks Waffles as well finds himself on the opposite end of a Rocket Barrage, and that's going to be a nice clear out for them. It's just Kohia alive with Callie, who doesn't have a mech, and she's looking a bit sad for where she's in a bad situation. Gets shut down by Domos. They're on the point. It's just constant back and forth between these two teams.
Yeah, they are going to get the flip. Little weird Transcendence came out in that last fight, but we're going to see if Trailblazers can get back in here and recap.
This is a very interesting situation because NYYRIKKI's not at all trying to contest this point. They've given them so much time to get the point and even get the flip when the whole team was just sitting around doing nothing. But now it's up to them to try to secure this. Lebedev pops out Primal Rage as they're on the point, and they do get the flip themselves as well. Just craziness happening on the middle of this point right now. Both teams not wanting to let it go, not wanting to let this overtime go anywhere near the end of it. As Gohir is just trying to do work, he does get stuck, but the Primal Rage keeps him alive. And now he's just swinging his arms around, trying to bash them off. They have to get the flip if they want to win this game. They are looking in a good situation. Domino's bringing out that Wrecking Ball, just trying to get some extra mobility, use that pile drive to just disrupt what the team is bringing out. Seems going to work out for them as he careens to the point, unable to do anything with it though, and that's going to be it. Trailblazers miraculously bringing that out at the last second, winning the first round.
Yeah, and really great play on both sides there. Tons of flips on that point, a couple of sneaky ones, a couple of big team fight wins. And that last fight really came down to both of those Winstons using those Primal Rages to stall for just extended periods of time, allow their team to get back and keep the point from flipping and maxing out at that 100%. So we are going to come on into Sanctum here. So very different geometry, a much more enclosed map, a lot and quite a bit more environmental kill potential with this big pit here right in the middle.
What do you think the role of the Winston, especially how they are using, I mean, Trailblazers especially are playing the Winston, how he was using the Primal Rage and just bashing people into this environmental damage?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very effective use of the Primal Rage if you can get those juggles all the way to the edge of the map. And they are going to take advantage of his mobility and kind of lock NYYRIKKI out of the point here right off the start.
Yeah, NYYRIKKI opting to go for this Orisa with the Diva. Very interesting composition. What are your thoughts of what they're trying to do with that?
So the Orisa's obviously going to be trying to hold this point. The D.Va's job is going to be to contest this high ground or possibly to get up into that room on the right side of the point. So.
Yeah, it seems to be working out for them as Skipper does some work with the Widow, and they do manage to get on the point. And now you have the holding capacity of the Orisa as they've secured that fight. I realize we did analyze through that fight, but I thought it was a necessary
Orisa,
one.
really difficult to dislodge in situations like this, and it looks like they don't want to hold on the point. They're going to hold up here to the side. So now the D.Va's job is going to be more just contesting the point to keep the cap from coming in. But we are going to see Trailblazers try to re-engage here, but Callie goes down, loses mech early.
Yeah, and of course he does have the halt to do some damage as there's just some light skirmishes as Trailblazers trying to find an entry onto this point. They are just looking for that opening they need as they back off, reform. They are coming into a very one-sided team fight if you look at NYYRIKKI sitting on 6 ults.
Yeah, and Olu was kind of flanking way around the back of the team, gets taken out, really staggers, and that's going to hurt his team. That's going to be at least another 10% that Trailblazers are going to, or NYYRIKKI's going to get here. And they've now got 6 ultimates, so they've got every opportunity in the world to hold this point.
Yeah, Callie is going to come up with a self-destruct. Probably going to be looking for him to entry with that as Olu's just deflecting the shots from the Orisa. Not yet willing to commit into an engagement. Infostride comes out, giving them the information they need. And NYYRIKKI knows exactly where they are and what they have to do is Beto finds the support of Farmers. Not looking good. Trailblazers just trying to poke their heads out and getting poked back.
Yeah, it looks like they're going, the Trailblazers are going to want to enter here with the Nano Blade. So, just getting the setup for that is where their difficulty's coming from, because in addition to the Orisa ult coming out there, they just didn't have any kind of space. Beto goes ahead and uses that rocket barrage into pretty much nobody.
Yeah, into nobody. Still do have 3 outs. Soundwave comes out, and they're on the side of the other side, the Dragon Blade and the Nano Boost, so that's going to help them a lot if they can do something. But the Transcendence is going to keep them alive. Self-destruct, just trying to make space. They are on the point. They do have the time to do this. The Orisa from Leopard Def is holding strong, fortified out, ready to go, ready to lock and load. And he's just keeping them off the point, keeping them distracted long enough for the rest of the team, the DPS, to damage them down. Hacksparkle's on his own, not going to be able to do much in this situation, not even with a biotic grenade.
Yeah, that was a very dominant showing from NYYRIKKI there. I believe a lot of that just came down to more favorable team comp. They had a composition that was able to take that ground and then really hold that ground without any trouble. The Winston D.Va, a little bit, a real difficult duo to run into a high damage composition like we saw coming out from NYYRIKKI there. So moving on to the Shrine. More high ground to work with here and just a lot of open space. So this a little more similar to Village than the last point. We'll see if that is going to help out Trailblazers with the dive tanks that they want to run here.
Looks like Ohia opting to no longer run the Winston. Wrecking Ball is ready to go.
That's right, and so that Wrecking Ball, really devastating here, can just kind of swing around, and he's going to go ahead and get right in the face of NYYRIKKI.
Yeah, right in the face as they take the engagement to them. Kohia just swinging, grappling claw out. Brokey just gets caught in a power drive and taken out almost immediately. Don't have that support. Looking good for Trailblazers in this first fight. Much better performance from them as Domos and Jonesy just trying to keep them alive, just trying to do the work they have to do to keep this point secure. As it does finally unlock, and Domos does make his way there. Hackswaffles is just saying no, the D-Mech, and now it's up to Brokey and Epidef who are on the point, finally, but surely giving them the support they need. That Doomfist going to do a lot to keep Epidef from being able to make much movement, just trying to focus him down, lock him down. Power drivers from both of the Wrecking Balls as they are just hammering away at each other, trading blows left, right, and center. And they are going to be able to go on this point. It's just a huge scrap on the point. Hackswaffles does have the pulse bomb and does throw it out. As able to get Brokey caught in that. That's huge for them. Self-destruct comes up and gets 2. Now this is a good situation for NYYRIKKI to be able to get onto this point and cap it. They are getting the cap slowly but surely, but Hackswaffles is just stopping them at every second. And Kohir grappling on, pile driving down, has to be shut down, and finally is. And that's going to be the first point. NYYRIKKI did so well to come back.
Yeah, really great swap from Lepidef to get onto that Hammond and be able to be more disruptive to the Trailblazers. We're actually going to see some swaps come in out from the Trailblazers. We're going to get the Reinhardt as well as a Brigitte and a Zarya. So quad tank, or sorry, a 3-3 comp coming out from them.
When in doubt, go to doubt. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, that's quite all right. They're going to go ahead and move in and try to be very aggressive here.
Yeah, aggressive Reinhardt going shield out, just trying to stop what they're bringing out. Barrage comes out from Bido, doesn't find anyone, gets taken out forward. Valkyrie's ready to go though if it's needed. Sound barrier comes out, giving them an extra bit of shield. These tanky compositions can use it quite nicely. They're on the point, they do have the superiority, but Left 4 Dead just swinging around and around and around, stopping them from being able to actually be able to move on that point. Finally, he lets go of the grapple, so that's going to give them the space that they need, as NYYRIKKI are looking good in this defense, but Trailblazers refusing to give up. And Korea just swinging the hammer, the mighty hammer, self-destruct, just trying to save his mech. Not going to find anyone, as Domo does manage to get the remake, but they're on the point and they do get the flip. But NYYRIKKI is looking good to just counter this almost immediately. And then I say that, and Trailblazers comes up with a solid defense.
Yeah, 2 really good charges out from Kuhia. Really kind of made that fight. He got one onto the Hammond just after he released that grapple, and then another one right there on the end onto the D.Va just to prevent her from getting on that point to continue contesting. And now we're actually going to see Skippa on the Junkrat, has the Junkrat tire, so big potential for entry there. We're going to have Reinhardt and D.Va ults for the Trailblazers, and here comes that tire.
Tire comes up, gets gets 2. This is Zarya and your Lucio out. Now you only got 2 tanks and 2 supports to go. But they get taken up by Baito, who's doing wonderful to just span them down, get the damage that is needed. Left 4 Dead power driving in, causing the disruption. Reinhardt goes down there on the point. Gets another story of back and forth action between these teams.
And we have seen Baito playing a very aggressive Pharah here. Just dropping into the enemy backlines, getting those rockets off and getting the kills with it. When he's not doing that, he is just poking from a distance, trying to keep the tanks low, below their armor threshold, and that's going to be very effective to help his team finish them off.
I think he's able to barrage every fight, so he can be able to use that almost immediately, but they get shut down. Olu knows that he's a threat, shuts him down, says no, but Left 4 Dead as the minefield can shut down that space if he needs to. He's going to power drive onto the point. We're going to see him drop it very soon, as he needs to just stop Trailblazers from getting onto this point, but they are not phased at the moment as Olu takes him out before he can even do that. And that was a very bad situation. Lost 3, you are going to be very badly outnumbered, and that's it.
Yeah, and now the ultimate advantage on the side of Trailblazers, they're going to have that Graviton Surge, so as long as they can avoid having it eaten by Dommels here, they've got a really good chance of winning another fight really handedly. On the other hand, both support ults just about to be up for NYYRIKKI, so if they're able to wait for those to be up, they could weather a lot of ultimates coming out from the Trailblazers.
Yeah, and I would really love to see Left 4 Dead use this minefield effectively on the point. He's going to power drive on, self-destruct goes out. That is going to be able to help do the clearing out of those mines as they are, have no effect in that situation. Jonesy has to get Brokey back up, and he's going to contend onto this point, give them the ability to get onto the point themselves, but they're very much outnumbered here. It's a 6v2 on the point, overtime going down. Earthshatter out, Left 4 Dead gets caught. Charged away, he can't contest anymore. The Doomfist from Skipper, just trying to make something possible for his team to be able to get onto this point and get back. Left 4 Dead with that armor, just popping on, self-destruct out, gets shielded away. No effect from them as Dromos has to make his way onto the point just to stop this overtime, but counting out too long. Jonesy finally comes in to support. He popped the Valkyrie, but does go down in the end, and now it's just Dommels there, and overtime gonna click down. Trailblazers first map, winning it.
Absolutely, that was a really good long stall from NYYRIKKI, but as we were discussing, it came down to that Graviton Surge coming out just before Zenyatta had his Transcendence up, so he was able to be taken out early, which allowed them a little more space to take out the rest of the team until he could be rezzed up. So really, really good timing there by the Trailblazers, using those ultimates just in the nick of time. So we saw a lot of back and forth in that map. These teams are extremely evenly matched. So lots of, as we predicted, there was going to be a lot of aggression from the Trailblazers, but NYYRIKKI very effective using that long range poke damage. So couldn't be happier with how this is turning out at the start.
Yeah, if you ask me, the only reason Trailblazers couldn't find their way through Sanctum was just an inability to change their composition to take on the composition of NYYRIKKI. They changed the composition in that final map in Shrine, and suddenly they had a much better performance.
Absolutely. If Goat's not the most effective thing you can be running in Sanctum, but it very likely would have been more effective pushing into that Orisa than the Winston Diva comp. So we are starting to see them get those changes in, which is going to be very important moving forward. That's a huge part of this game, is making the right compositional swaps as you go. And we are going to go ahead and start getting into Rialto right now.
Yeah, talking about being able to switch your composition, change it up on a map like Rialto, your opening section, where mostly you're just seeing a lot of poke, a lot of testing each other's out, that first corner, then into courtyard, then you might want to switch your composition up completely into the remaining sections, depending on how your playstyle is.
That's absolutely right. There's this first section very different from those moving forward, and several big flanking routes throughout this map. So we do still see a lot of flanking DPS. We do see a good bit of Sombra here, just because you can get behind the team completely unmolested and then molest them, because that Sombra can be just very nerve-wracking to know that she may be behind you at any moment. So
just that surprise Sombra, sudden panic of, oh no, there is a Sombra behind us.
yeah, and people love with the new Infinite Stealth just hanging out in the enemy backline, spamming voice lines, making them nervous, because, you know, this is as much a mental game as a mechanical one. So
as you can win that mind game, you get your opponents to tilt. It's hard to come back from that. That's when you know you can just snowball through them.
absolutely. And so here on the defense, we are going to have the Trailblazers running triple tank with the Rhine Zarya Diva, and then Widowmaker there on the DPS slot. Couple of healers, Moira Lucio. So probably using that speed boost so that they can reposition when those flanks come through, as well as the massive healing for the 3 tanks that they're running.
Interesting that they're not trying to use that high ground to give them a little bit of extra information, and it's going to deny Skipper any potential headshots from the start.
That's right. So Widow Duel going to be coming in here between Hackswaffles and Skipper. This is a big one. These two players have been dueling for a very long time, so we'll see who's able to come out on top here in this one.
Possibly just see them trading back and forth, as it's a very slow start to this map, as you usually see in Rialto.
Yeah, and the double sniper actually on the side of NYYRIKKI, so they are going to be, again, trying to take this slow, trying to spam the enemy down, get a pick before they move in. But pushing that payload, you don't always have that luxury. So they are going to take this high ground and try to corral Trailblazers, who are going to go ahead and wrap around behind them. Yeah, just trying to chase them down.
Sorry. Trailblazers just being those stubborn cows who don't want to go where you want them to go. And they do push NYYRIKKI off the point, and NYYRIKKI able to deal with it quite nicely. Skipper dealing well with the DPS role that he's been given, clears them away.
Yeah, Skipper doing a good job to kind of get that initial pick, and now the Trailblazers are going to have to recontest this point just as it's about to hit the checkpoint.
Yeah, it looks like Trailblazers going to try hold this off now, keep NYYRIKKI from getting that first point. As they jump onto the point, this Reinhardt from Korea just trying to just pause them and hold them as long as possible, but Domos is getting a little bit aggressive, just poking in. Leopard now pops his shield down. He wants this to happen as Baito has to use this Doomfist to focus down someone and get them out of the fight, and he does manage with the help of his team. Korea goes down. Now this is a huge opening for them as Farmers is the only one on the point, just trying to use the Moira to damage them as much as possible. Hepa just flinging around the point, wall riding as much as possible, not able to hold them.
Yeah, Korea was doing a great job there on the Reinhardt of just kind of protecting his team, contesting the point just enough. But Baito coming in on that Doomfist, got the kill onto him, just really broke the defense that Trailblazers were setting up there. And so now moving into this next point, we're going to see 4 ultimates, both supports and both tanks for NYYRIKKI, while Trailblazers sitting on the Earth Shatter, going to have the Coalescence, probably the Sound Barrier, and get that Diva Bomb here shortly.
Thanks for the assist.
Yeah,
But they are going to make the high ground engagement here.
Yeah, it looks like Trailblazers is finally using the high ground to try and get some advantage on their team. Coalescence for them is going to give them something to work with, but the Diva Bomb does take out Farmer, so the Coalescence wasted in the end as Leopardef and Brocky are just being bashed down by that Brigida of Hacks Waffles, and they are looking to keep him out of this fight, just focusing him down slowly but surely, and it's very scrappy team fights happening right now.
Yeah, and Trailblazers there kind of split their team, sent half of them to the point and the other half into the backline, and it was not the most effective, although the point did not move. And we are going to see the Graviton Bomb come out, gets a double as well as that mech, and then followed up with the Rocket Barrage.
That was huge from Trailblazers. Self-destruct went behind the Orisa shield and shut them down completely. They still have the sound barrier, while NYYRIKKI's thrown out away and not getting anything from them.
Yeah, that was a really good job by Callie to recognize that the Orisa shield was freshly put down and was not going to be able to be moved once the Diva Bomb came out. So, really good awareness by the Trailblazers there. And we are going to see the Rocket Barrage ready for Bido, so he's going to be looking to get some entries with that.
Yeah, hopefully he's going to initiate with that Leopardef just power driving in, disrupting the team. There's the Rocket Barrage out, finds Cohere, but taken out, he kills himself. You hate to see that happen. It's just Leopardef and Drommels trying to do the work and push this payload forwards on their own. Brokey in the back, just supporting them, propping the Discords out and the Harmonies left, right. Santa Callie being really aggressive, seizes Zenyatta, wants him. I just don't know how to call these fights at the moment.
And Callie looking really good there, got up there, blocked most of the Rocket Barrage after Korea went down with that defense matrix, and then just put his body in front and let Bido blow himself up.
Yeah, it was such a great move from him to make sure Bido had no effect with the barrage.
And so we're gonna have this Junkrat tire come in from Skipper, long-range tire.
The longest of range tires doesn't able to find any effect from that, gets shut down almost immediately. Leopardef does swing in, just trying to get them a little bit of extra distraction to make sure the Riptire has something on it. Transcendence out, going to allow them some opportunity to push onto the payload. But at this point, Trailblazers are looking really strong. Go here with that shield is not letting up, not letting slip. Self-destruct going to go behind him, does manage to shield off, unable to get any effect on the barrage. Once gets it, almost immediately goes out. Callie gets caught in this fury. Leopardef with the minefield does manage to deny the space, keep Trailblazers from being able to defend the point any further than where they are right now. As it's just go here, Hera, Hacks Waffles, who are trying to keep this team from being able to get that second point. And now Drommels and Leopardef on that side room, trying to shut down the Reinhardt, unable to do anything as the Breeder comes in to support, and Leopardef swinging around this payload. It's quite, we've seen him do it before, we've seen him just swing it, keep the momentum going, and the Coalescence is going to be trying to shut down the Valkyrie of Yonsei, who's had to pop it to try keep his team alive. But this fight is just not ending, as NYYRIKKI are not giving up. They got 30 seconds. They know they have only a limited amount of time to do it. Korea sees the Riptire, swings it away, but does get taken out by Brokey. And now NYYRIKKI on a great situation, but the grab comes out and a self-destruct on top of that. No Transcendence to save you. That's going to take out 2. Farmers finds Drommels, who has to reset himself, and now it's just a back foot pedal for NYYRIKKI. They are in a terrible situation.
Yeah, and this situation is thanks to Koea and Hackswaffles just contesting that payload, taking turns, holding them off, and now Bido is going to touch to trigger the overtime.
Overtime out to Yonsoni is the only point on the point of Skipper, and Drommels finally get there. Leopardef going to pop the minefield. That could help them, but it doesn't because it gets shut down almost immediately by the hammer swings of Kahui. Self-destruct on top of them, doesn't find anyone. Drommels has to find a way to make better use of all the self-destruct. He's been really lackluster when putting them out, and it's just a absolute massacre, as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the main thing from the Trailblazers that we're seeing is that Graviton Bomb combo with the self-destruct is really coming in clutch for them. They're getting it past the enemy team, avoiding those shields, and just doing a really good job of getting the kills with it, especially the supports, which are obviously the main picks you want to be getting. At the same time, the tank line of Koea and Cali really stepping up here. They look extremely good. Koea can contest that point for days on the Reinhardt, it seems like. So not having any trouble slowing down the progress of NYYRIKKI.
Talk about Gohia saying he's a Winston diehard. Brings out the Reinhardt. Magic is, it's just magical to see. Like the way he's using that Reinhardt, the movement he's getting on it. Such a high mobile Reinhardt who's able to deflect the damage, put out as much damage as he's deflecting is so rare, and it's so amazing to see it coming from Kahuya.
Yeah, his positioning and shield usage on that Reinhardt was spectacular. He was doing a really great job of protecting his team from general poke damage, as well as all of the Diva Bombs we saw coming out from Dommels, and just super effective there on the Rhine. But here on the defense, we're going to see an Orisa Diva comp. So, as we discussed earlier, Orisa more of your anchor Diva, kind of there to harass and knock people off of the high ground. And then Ana here for Brokey. So, we'll see if NYYRIKKI are able to make good use of that, especially the Nano Boost used onto somebody like the Orisa or the Hanzo at times with the Storm Arrow can be very effective with that. So, double sniper for them as well, trying to make this defense.
The double sniper is interesting considering NYYRIKKI's not holding the high ground in this first section.
That's right. They are kind of hanging back. I guess they didn't want to see any sniper picks come out from the offense, but now we are going to have full dive come out from the offense. Farmus on the Ana, so they are going to go ahead and try to take control of this high ground while Cali pushes the cart.
Yeah, they're moving onto the high ground. They have been spotted by the Sonogara Baito and immediately jumping onto the back line of Yonsoni, who gets taken out. And now it's just Skipper in a bad situation. Haxwaffles, the duel, the rivalry goes down. Dommels gets demeched. They don't have a lot in this fight right now as NYYRIKKI goes down early and Trailblazers are looking really strong.
Yeah, really good dive came out. NYYRIKKI was a little bit split up on that defense, so when Koea and Cali were able to single out a couple of players and just take them down and then clean up the rest of the team after the fact, Haxwaffles getting very close to that pulse bomb should have it pretty quick here, and we do have swaps coming out from NYYRIKKI, so they will be on the Winston now as well as the Zen.
The Zen and the Brigida, so they're wanting to shut down the dive of Trailblazers as they are too trying to contest this final point. Olu is trying to just damage them down and he's got rid of Beto, but Beto's not going to be too impressed about a Genji running onto him, so Olu might consider switching off as the engagement goes down almost immediately. There's the Dragon Blade goes out and he finds Skipper and then he gets Beto. You don't want to see your Brigida getting taken out by a Genji, so that's a huge one for them. No more supports, it's just Dommels trying to stay alive and keep this point from capping, and it's gonna go through. NYYRIKKI need to think about how they are approaching these engagements.
Yeah, that was actually really great pathing with the Nano Blade from Olu. He went up over the kind of balcony there on the point, came down into the backline, so while during his dash he really couldn't be damaged, he was completely in cover as far as NYYRIKKI was concerned. So really good from him, and now ult advantage entirely there for the Trailblazers. Gonna have both tank ults as well as this pulse bomb.
NYYRIKKI do have the high ground on them. They do jump down onto Here's Winston, shut him down almost immediately, getting onto the point, bubbling, self-destruct goes out, finding Olu, so this is gonna shut down Trailblazers attack, preventing any form of just momentum or just snowballing through. So NYYRIKKI finding a foothold, finally.
Yeah, and the success comes from Koea, but so does the failure. He got a little bit caught out there, went down early, and that allowed NYYRIKKI to just push into the team, and we're going to see the Tac Visor come out.
Tac Visor does come out, and Koea is trying to contest that high ground, but Skipper does find someone with that Tac Visor, and Haxwaffles over responds almost immediately, getting him with the Pulse Bomb. And now Koea pumps the primal range. He needs to clear the space on the point. He's going to get shut down almost immediately by Baito with that stun. Self-destruct goes out, doesn't find anyone. NYYRIKKI doing well to clear out of the space. Baito just going to contest with that flail of his as he just jumps in, tries to stun, get rid of the dangerous Tracer.
Yeah, and another good hold there from Trailblazers. Again, a little bit of a missed dive onto the
Re-engage, they have done some vital swap as Koya now on the Reinhardt, just gonna try to prevent Brigida from being able to do any more damage to this team. Reinhardt, D.Va, and their own Brigida going to be able to help them contest it a lot better than they were before.
Yeah, they're going to have to go ahead and reset. Reinhardt, Koea got in, again, a little too deep in there, didn't have the support of his team, and went down quickly. So they're going to have to play a little more together. You can't split up like you can on a dive when you're running this 3-3 GOATS composition. So
Yeah,
moving in, they will be pushing into a self-destruct and a transcendence.
Kohir is looking a little eager in these fights. He wants to get it done. Self-destruct, that could have been devastating, but they do manage to get out of this way of it. It gets caught in the doorway, and that's going to be bad for them as Kohir gets knocked into the water. Nice little boot from Jonesy. And now the Primal Rage comes out onto the payload. That's going to clear them out. And shielded by the Transcendence, that Coalescence isn't going to do much in there. And now they're being bashed into the corner on the stairs. They need to get onto this point, and they need to be able to make movements and get some momentum back. NYYRIKKI have done really well to shut down their momentum as Kohir finally comes on. The rest of the team runs in to support him. As he's there now, this payload can move forwards. But Jonsoni on the loose here, just going to jump around, keep them distracted as long as possible. Bites her with the Brigida, looking for the stuns. Grab on the payload, very interesting place to grab from Olu. Doesn't catch anyone in it, but does keep NYYRIKKI from being able to contest the point. They are doing well, though, to mitigate whatever Trailblazers are putting out. The stun comes up with a beautiful blow from Lebedev, keeps Baito alive, but eventually he can't fall from the overwhelming numbers. And now it's just Dommels and his tank of Winston on this payload, and they go down. Dommels just jumped into the river. Payload's moving forward.
Yeah, and it was the Earth Shatter again from Koea that opened up that fight, knocked down the Brigida, allowed him to get in there and actually do some damage. He's been struggling playing against this Brigida, getting shield bashed quite frequently, but now they're actually going to try to come around behind the NYYRIKKI, so very interesting engagement there.
Interesting engaging that does work out for them as they find the support and Skipper, so you don't have to spam damage. The shield's going to be very useful to them as Leaper Death pops out onto the Primal Rage, onto the payload. He's just trying to make space as long as possible and keep them alive. Self-destruct goes out, unable to find anyone, gets put in a really awkward situation for them. And now the counter self-destruct from Dommels, also unable to find anyone. So just self-destruct's going everywhere, and Kali does manage to get his mech back as Lebedev gets revived on the point. Quite a risky revive from Jonsoni, but he makes it and he gets it down. Earthshatter goes into the bubble, unable to find anyone. They do have the numbers on the point. It's just Dommels right now contesting it. They don't have far to go. Dommels goes down. That's going to be it. The fight is won. Trailblazers take map 2.
Yeah, really, really good play all around from them. They very quick Graviton build from Olu there into that last fight. Really helped them to get those last few kills they needed to take that point. And yeah, just really impressive from them overall. They're getting that aggression. Sometimes it does bite them, a little over-aggression, but overall it has been an effective strategy as NYYRIKKI seem to be struggling to deal with it a little bit.
Yeah, they definitely are struggling to face the aggression back from Trailblazers. And you saw when they change it up, they brought the Brigida to counter the really aggressive dive of Trailblazers. Then Trailblazers won the back foot for a lot of that fight. Then Trailblazers switched it out back onto the Reinhardt, who is going to be able to help them through the Brigida a lot better. And suddenly, Trailblazers are once again on the front foot and able to push forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we were discussing, just a lot of team composition switches making the difference in a lot of these maps and fights. Making those swaps to the right counter, the right hero, can completely turn around the momentum of a match.
Yeah, Overwatch is very much a game about adaptability and being able to switch up your compositions and just counter the opposite team. But that's going to be it from us for now. We'll be back in map 3. Let's hand it back to the beautiful analyst desk of Geometric.
Thanks, guys. So that was pretty interesting start to the series. We've got Trailblazers taking the lead. I want to first talk about the things that we saw on Nepal. I mean, Paul, while we were watching that, you were discussing a lot how on Sanctum, Trailblazers brought out this really interesting Genji soldier composition. You had a lot to say about that. So let's start with that.
So I'd like to just toot my own horn a little bit here. And although I was wrong in one sense, because before on the pre-desk, I said Trailblazers shouldn't go to Nepal because Sanctum will be bad for them. It was terrible for them. And I was right there. They won the map, but I was right there. And it's because of a little hero called Soldier 76. Right? As you can tell, I might like this guy. But he's not good in the current meta. He doesn't do anything that any of the good heroes do right now, and he definitely didn't synergize well with the rest of the comp. They had a very split composition. Their backline wasn't really able to get anywhere where it could help the front line, and they got rolled on Sanctum.
Yeah, I mean, other than like the things that happened on Sanctum, that pretty big, I suppose, as you would say, a mistake. The other two maps, Shrine and Village, were both pretty like flip-floppy. You know, like what led things to kind of be so almost balanced?
Well, basically, I think part of it was just that they were they were just taking turns winning team fights, basically running mirror comps with the exception of the Lucio and the Zen on either team. So it was just really close. One team would win, and it ended up being like literally 99-99 to the very wire. But it just didn't end up working out for NYYRIKKI.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk a bit about Dommels, who was NYYRIKKI's off tank. We kind of decided he was sort of like the MVP of Nepal. I mean, what was he doing that was so well?
Getting
was
the kills. Oh.
Yeah, clutch diva bombs. That's a main one. He was struggling a little bit on staying in mech, but when he was in mech, he was making really good use of it. A lot of peeling. He was always where he needed to be.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, let's move on to Rialto discussion about that, because we didn't actually see as much of the Pharah Widow compositions as we were perhaps expecting, other than kind of right at the beginning. But we did see some interesting things come out with this double projectile with Junkrat and Pharah on NYYRIKKI's attack, and then we also saw the soldier come out again, which again, these were kind of like interesting. We weren't necessarily expecting. I mean, you know, what do you guys think about that?
Well, for starters, I was agreeing with Pulsible for he didn't like the Junkrat, and I wasn't sure why, and I realized it doesn't work well with the Hammond specifically. You know, the Junkrat Pharah is great for shield break, but if you would have no way to like truly take advantage of the shield break, like an Earth Shatter or some kind of ultimate in that category, then it doesn't really do you any damage, because like we talked about before during the map, there's no way to confirm kills. So it didn't end up working out. Although I don't agree that Soldier doesn't work at all. I think NYYRIKKI's defense was very good, because in no small part due to the Soldier play.
They played the sightlines really well. And that's the difference too in map design always, right? It's so important in the game of Overwatch. And on Sanctum, the idea that Trailblazers was trying to go with the soldier is, oh, there's so much line of sight. There's so much open space to work with. This will be great for his ultimate. Well, it's not great when there's an Orisa shield right in front of you and you can't kill anyone through it, right? That wasn't the case on Rialto, because they had to come across that long bridge and then be in that long open area right next to it, right? So they were able to use the soldier as a lot of pressure to keep him off the side.
I mean, you mentioned Orisa shields, which kind of brings us to the fact that NYYRIKKI actually started by playing Orisa on their attack on Rialto, and there was some strange positioning with the Orisa and the healers. I mean, like, what do we think about that? Because you guys kind of sounded a bit like you weren't really very happy with how passive NYYRIKKI were playing.
No, not at all. NYYRIKKI, particularly the main tank, like I was saying, like word for word, your main tank should never be in front, behind your main healer. That's weird. That doesn't really work.
What are you talking about? Mercy's the best tank.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Tanked all these nerfs over and over to everyone else.
Hey, well-deserved nerfs, mind you.
That's fair. That's fair.
We're not meta discussing here, or at least not in that way. But yeah, no, I think they are playing too passively. It allows them to get taken advantage of by the really good rotations from Trailblazers.
And had it not been for that one pick that the Zen of NYYRIKKI got onto Hackswaffles, the Widow of Trailblazers, that first push would have gone so differently. Because what Trailblazers do is they rotate around behind and up onto the high ground that NYYRIKKI was sitting on, and they're forced off of it. They have to run off. Well, if the Widow had still been alive, sitting over on the side, that's just free shots all day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty interesting. But then on the kind of flip side, we had this like hyper aggressive main tank play from the side of Trailblazers with their main tank Kuya.
Yeah, that is a good point to bring up. I was afraid when I said I like their aggressive play that it would be too aggressive, and unfortunately we did see a little bit of that on Rialto. I think Kuya was just going a little too hard, trying to, get the hero shatters and stuff like that, and because of that, sometimes he wasn't protecting his team. But beyond that, still solid play.
Yeah, and a lot of it seemed to be shot calling too. It would be Kuya up in the front line, like on the payload, while the rest of his team is around a corner somewhere. When they all work together, the aggression worked perfectly.
Yeah. So what kind of amendments to kind of composition decisions would you like to see from these two teams as we go into the next two maps?
No. Are you gonna say no soldier?
Yeah. No,
I knew it.
No.
I say it depends, but I agree. No Junkrat Farah. This is. Yeah. Final thought is I think no Junkrat and Farah. It's not. I don't like the combination.
Ultimately, when the teams have been losing in one-sided fashions, it's come down to compositions, right? So you need to work those compositions that synergize together.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. So we're gonna head over to now. I'm gonna throw it back to our casters Trinox and Suds and Bubbles, and let's see what happens.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for that brilliant analysis of those first two maps of how the tank compositions were working. Interestingly, Anubis, I want to see a Soldier 76, so I don't agree with you, Paul. I don't know how you feel about that, Suds.
I lean more on Paul's side of things. I think if you're running a hit scan on Anubis, it probably needs to be Widow. Maybe on the second point, we've seen back in the history of Overwatch, lots of really good tac visors from high ground on that second point defense or attack, really. So maybe that can still work. We just don't see it very often. So I don't have a lot of confidence in it, but we will be getting into Anubis shortly here. A lot of teams still like to run that high horse strat, get that Orisa up on the first point high ground, and try to fight the enemy team off from there. But I've recently seen a lot of issues with that. It gives the enemy team a lot of access to the point, can let them start building up percentage very quickly. So we'll see if that's what these teams want to do here.
I definitely think we're going to see the revision of that Widow battle that they try to do in a Rialto. There's a lot more sidelines to work over. Like you said, it's more common for the Widow to be your hit scan in this map.
Absolutely, especially on this first point, it's so open. There's so much removed high ground where you can get sightlines from a long way off that nobody besides another Widow or some kind of dive tank can really contest you. So that is very likely. Although here on the defense, for the moment, it looks like Trailblazers are going to run that Winston Diva with Sombra and Genji as the DPS and the semi-standard Mercy Zen. So Olu on that Genji should be interesting here on the defense. Genji can be very effective, but just doesn't put down the consistent damage that you like to see. He really is just kind of a poker until he gets his ultimate, at which point he can easily win a team fight himself. But for keeping people out of areas, Genji may not be the guy.
What are your thoughts on the Sombra? What do you think Hax is going to be doing with the Sombra in the space that he's given?
I think that is going to be a lot of just kind of getting behind the enemy team, trying to harass their support line. They are running this on a Lucio, so that should be some good opportunities to single at least those two out, and obviously always have that out of the translocator.
Yeah, it's possible that they are aware of something that we are not, having played each other so many times, as the tanks now just jumping around each other trying to get some damage off. Domos does get go here, and there's a revival from Hepe. He's doing well to keep his team alive, and there's a nice little fight going on in the side room. They have yet to contest the point. If they send someone there to backcap, it could be devastating for the team. But he has to get out of the situation. He is unable to, and now he goes down. Hepe gets caught in a bad situation, and this is a very one-sided fight. NYYRIKKI in the first fight of the game looking a lot better than the last map.
Yeah, that was really effective push from NYYRIKKI because they got Trailblazers up into that high ground to the attackers' right of point and then pushed them outside and forced them to drop onto the point. But they still had their Widowmaker there at that entrance choke. And so once Trailblazers dropped onto the point, we saw them just be able to get those shots. Skipper able to take those Widow shots and just burn down the members of Trailblazers.
Let's see if he can do it again, as they have to make their way onto the second point. It's a lot harder of an attack to go through. The fence has a lot more high ground options to work off of. As you can see here, Koei is sitting on this high ground, going to be using just try jump down the team, and there he does initiate with that background and biotic grenade from Anna. Gives them a perfect opportunity to jump down, and they get a nice, pretty much a team wipe, because Skipper had to backtrack all the way out of there.
Yeah, that was just really good from Koei. He defended that high ground that NYYRIKKI tried to initiate onto and was able to push them back, and now Trailblazers sitting on 5 ults. NYYRIKKI gonna have 5 of their own. Skippa swapped onto the Sombra for this second point attack, so no more Widow. She's a little less effective here, but now Olu has that Dragon Blade. We'll see if they can combo that with something like the EMP from Hack's Waffles.
Let's see indeed what happens as they immediately jump onto the high ground. Gecko here out of the situation. Hepa going down as well, and now it's very much was going to be a one-sided fight, but the Dragon Blade comes up from Olu and he finds 2 plus the D-Mech. That's a bad situation for them, as Leopard finally going down, and now it's just Stommels has to get out of the situation. He doesn't have a mech.
Yeah, they did exactly what we were calling. Hack's Waffles came in with that EMP, removed all the movement abilities, and then Olu swift striked in with that Dragon Blade, just cleaned up the team. And so that was just really effective ult usage. And now they're still sitting on 3 ults. They have the Nano Boost to use, possibly onto Koei here. But Bido now has that Reaper ultimate, the Death Blossom, which can be very effective here on these 2 CP points.
3 ults versus 3 ults potential. Blade on the tables. Stealth Turret goes into the back line. Does manage to find Leopard Def. Hack's Waffles does get the refrag, I wanted to say, but that's the wrong word to use in Overwatch. Is Olu, and now the rest of the team are managing to push NYYRIKKI out of the situation. I think they expected more from the self-destruct, and they are going to be running all the way back to spawn.
Yeah, they've now got the EMP of their own, as well as that Death Blossom, so that's a big combo they can get out here. Meanwhile, not just the Nano Boost and Primal Rage on the side of the Trailblazers, so they're going to have a lot to contest with on this next push. They're going to have to play really smart, try to bait out some of those ults before the enemy team can really push into them.
Let's see if they can effectively bait that out. They do have the capacity as the EMP goes out. This is time for them to engage now, but the Bionic Grenade from the Ana gets all of them caught in that. The Death Blast gets shut down immediately. Olu has the perfect opportunity to take him out. The Dragon Blade goes down, Bido goes through, and the Death Blossom was shut down, put to sleep. That's it. Team fight over. Trailblazers just not having it.
Yep, Pharmas won that for his team with that Sleep Dart onto the Death Blossom. Completely shut that down, no damage came out, and it allowed Olu to get in there pretty much unscathed with his Dragon Blade, and again, just do the cleanup that he's been doing this whole match.
And they still have 2 ults to 2 ults, so they just, at this point, the ult advantage has never been a factor in these team fights. Trailblazers just doing extraordinarily well as they jump on immediately. Kelly just opening up with those immediately kills, and the rest just cleaned up by Kohir this time, and now it's just Domos, and he's alone, afraid, and doesn't have a mech, and Olu got him in his sights.
Yeah, we saw Skippa get over to the point to try to contest, but he was just too late to actually draw some of the Trailblazers away from the rest of his team. His team got shut down, and they still had time to get back and chase off Skippa before he could get any real progress on that point. So lots of ults now online for the Trailblazers. They're going to have 4 to the 2 of NYYRIKKI. Have a good shot at another Dragon Blade cleanup from Olu here.
not using any else in that previous team fight, just being able to shut them down immediately really did help their situation, as now they're going to try contest the high ground, prevent them from shutting them down again like they did before. They are having minimal success, however, as Vito is just trying to just damage down with the Reaper, get something off here. Soundwave comes out, going to give them the extra armor. They do get onto the point. They are looking to get that first tick. No one contesting the second tick. What a NYYRIKKI! They have all the space and more. Just Trailblazers nowhere to be seen. They finally get on the point. The Dragon Blade comes out, and left there past that Primal Rage, just keeping it alive. And that much extra Domel's on the point with him. That was a great attack for them, and I'm not too sure why Trailblazers didn't contest earlier.
Yeah, part of it is we've been seeing Hepa get picked first in a lot of these fights. So a lot of their healing volume is just lost before the fight even begins, and that's a real problem. But they were able to wait out for him and then re-engage onto that point using the Dragon Blade and Valkyrie. So they used pretty much all of their ults there. Hackswaffles will be building up another EMP here shortly, but a little bit of an advantage there for the NYYRIKKI now.
Advantage indeed. The EMP, they've used it before to try work their way through to minimal success. Let's see if they can use it again this time and actually get something off it as the Nano Boost goes out onto Lev. Definitely gets put to sleep. So now the Nano Boost is going to be wasted, but Skipper is there to support. Does have the EMP. EMP goes out. They have the opportunity to take this point now, but Vito unable to capitalize with Lebedev going down, and the tank line of Trailblazers doing extraordinarily well to keep the damage from affecting them, as Dommels is able to stay on the point. Self-destruct, making them clear the way, get away from the point as Dommels and his team have to get back. Brokey now finally making his way onto the point with the Reaper. Deanna gets taken out, and it's just going to be a cleanup here for Trailblazers.
Yeah, another fight win from Farmus with the sleep onto the Primal Rage Nano Winston, of Lepidef. And then Koea doing a lot of work to get the first couple of kills for the Trailblazers into that fight. Try to even it out after Olu and Hepa went down early. But again, Dragon Blade online. Nano Boost will be built up before we go into overtime here. But we're going to see the Nano Reaper possibly come out from the side of NYYRIKKI. They're going to have to get him into a strong position to make use of that, though. Last fight coming up.
NYYRIKKI do have the Blade Blade available. He can use it. Can Farmer shut it down as he's done before? He loves using those sleep darts to great effect as they finally make their way onto the point. They do have the early kill when the Dragon Blade does come out and find Johnsoni and then Brokey. So now you don't have your two supports, and you need those supports if you want to do anything. The Death Blaster gets shut down immediately. Olu just Dragon Blading his way through every one of the members of this team. The Primal Rage, the final person on this point, just needs to stay alive for as long as possible as he's bashing everyone out. But the Vita Grenade takes away his heals. That's going to be it. They're not going to be able to get back in time. And as I said, the Johnsoni does get him, but shut down immediately as Skipper makes his way using that the multi-camo to get there unseen, but eventually gets found as they realize there's an invisible person on there. And that's it. They are able to hold that off.
Yeah, that whole defense there on second point really came down to NYYRIKKI not having an answer for those Dragon Blades. They were running the Mercy and the Ana, so just not enough healing. They didn't have a Transcendence or even a Sound Barrier to try to counteract those Dragon Blades as they came out, and that allowed Olu to just clean up those teams in every fight, basically.
Olu is doing fantastically, and you predicted it at the beginning of this game. You said Olu gonna poke damage away until he gets the Dragon Blade and then just swipe in and clean up.
And that's exactly what he's been doing, and his team's been setting him up for it. He's not even needing the Nano Boost most of the time, but if they've got it, Farmus is throwing it out there for him. So lots of good ult combos and just general ult usage. They only had a couple of times where the economy swung out of their favor for the Trailblazers, but just really effective defense from them. So we are going to see NYYRIKKI come out on the defense now. It looks like they are going to be running that Orisa Hog tank combination with Widow and Junkrat. So Skippa had good luck with the Widow on the attack, thinks he can have a similar deal happen here on first point defense. Meanwhile, Bido probably just going to be on that Junkrat, looking for some shield break and area denial. You're going to see him, he's going to go ahead and throw a trap in that defender's right flank there at the front so that he can slow them down there, and then just use those grenades to spam out areas and just completely prevent Trailblazers from being able to move in.
Yeah, let's see what he can do with that spam damage as they finally making their way onto the point. Kelly does switch off the Symmetra. I was quite interested to see if that was a troll pick, and it was. Oh, Drummels with the hook, immediately taking out Korea. That's going to be huge. They're going to have to just reset this attack. Trailblazers on the back foot from the start.
Yeah, Olu gets taken out by Bido's mine there. And so pretty much pure dive coming out from Trailblazers. Still running that Pharmas on the Ana, trying to get good use out of the Nano Blade as well as that Sleep Dart, which he has been extremely effective with so far this game. So we'll see if they're able to get in without getting hooked this time. Try to actually have some sort of engagement.
Let's see what they can do now. They do have the full team once again, and there we go. Kahir finally engaging Kali, just peeling off with him. And Lebedev now is being body grenaded. They don't have the health, but the fortifier is going to keep him alive as Drommels just hiding behind and trying to stay alive as much as possible himself. Skipper doing the work, clearing out the attack, and that's going to be it for them. Trailblazers have no say in this fight whatsoever.
Yeah, Olu, just before that fight actually started, was taking that long flank around towards the second point. And unfortunately, his tanks engaged before he was in any kind of position to help them. So he just showed up right at the end of that fight and got picked off as one of the last couple of kills. Just kind of poor timing. Must have been a little bit of a breakdown of communication from the Trailblazers. But now some ults starting to come online. Dommel's going to have his, and we do see the Infosight come out from Skipper.
That's going to be bad for Trailblazers. They can't move in with the Infrastrike active because NYYRIKKI know exactly where they are and exactly how they're going to move into the point. And you can see it here. The rivalry between the team is definitely showing right now because NYYRIKKI knew exactly what Trailblazers were going to do at the start of their attack.
Yeah, the engagement come in here.
Yeah, the engagement does go on. The body grenade not capitalized on, but they are managing to get the pickoffs. The Skipper finally goes down. That's going to give them opening in the DPS. One support down, one DPS down. It falls onto your tanks to get onto the point to contest, but they're unable to do so as they're getting focused down. The moment they get onto the point, Domos tries to just take a breath. Unable to.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what we see. We saw a pick comp coming out from NYYRIKKI with the Widow, the Junkrat, the Roadhog. And so it can be very difficult to move in on that kind of team composition, but once you get in and get a kill onto one of those picking heroes, a lot of times you can take the fight from there. And now, about 5 ults going to be online here for Trailblazers. The blade is up. We'll see if it can be as effective as it was on their defense.
They do have the Transcendence on Brokey, so that could be great help for them. It doesn't matter if the self-destruct takes out your 2 supports. They have the opportunity now to get onto the point and do the work. Spawn advantage is going to be a problem for them as Domo's going to stay alive as much as possible, using that defense from Matrix to do something to stay on this point, keep it captured until the team can get back. But they're unable to. That's going to give them 2 ticks before any sort of contention can go down. Transcendence out from Brokey. Skipper is caught in the body grenade though. Not going to be able to benefit from it as the power driver from Wrecking Ball on Lebedev does finally come out. He's seen him trying to disrupt the team many times before with limited success. Let's see if he can do a bit better here as he does not get spooked away, taken out. And now the team are in a bad situation. The Trailblazers are looking strong and unmoved, and they are unfazed by that Brigida. The Doomfist has been anti-healed, and Dommels tries to get a self-destruct off, gets knocked off the point. Trailblazers take this 3 maps to 0.
Yeah, and the final fight there really comes down to Callie's Diva Bomb. It came out huge. It got the 2 supports, which was just the cue for Olu to come out with the Dragon Blade. He cleaned up a couple of more, and then it was just a stagger fight for NYYRIKKI trying to keep that point from ticking up, but unfortunately, with the entirety of Trailblazers there and them coming out just 1 or 2 at a time, they really didn't have a lot of a chance there.
Trailblazers went off to a rough start, and I did touch on this right before the first real team fight where Trailblazers had a foothold, is that it looked like NYYRIKKI knew what Trailblazers were going to do in the first sort of initiation, and they were able to shut it down quite nicely.
Absolutely. They had a really good initial defense there on that first point. They seemed to know exactly how the Trailblazers wanted to engage, and they were able to shut that down really effectively right up until they weren't. One good engagement was all it took for Trailblazers to take the first point and basically just snowball right into second. So really, really good play from them. Just a little bit of an outclassing. We know these teams have been super evenly matched in the past, but today, whether it was maps or meta, Trailblazers came out really strong.
They did come out very strong indeed, and like you said, the snowball was on, and you thought for a moment NYYRIKKI were going to be able to put out a really good defense. They hold them for a lot longer than Trailblazers were able to hold NYYRIKKI in the first point. And we've seen NYYRIKKI shut down the snowball in Rialto. So there's all these different factors where you're thinking, maybe this is the map for NYYRIKKI to take. And then that snowball just comes out, builds to such an epic proportion. And the stagger, everything that NYYRIKKI's just throwing out in that final point was just not enough to do anything about it.
Yeah, again, it's just a extremely well-placed Diva Bomb by Callie allowed that snowball to happen, gave NYYRIKKI no opportunity to make a defense there on the second point.
And of course, we've seen Callie use that Diva Bomb extremely well in Rialto, getting behind the shield with the Risa. What are any final thoughts on this final map of this playoff?
It looks like it really just comes down to the aggressive play of Trailblazers being a little bit more effective. NYYRIKKI are playing those pick comps. They're trying to play slow, just slow down that aggression, and just weren't able to do it today.
Yeah, the aggression of Trailblazers definitely caught NYYRIKKI off guard through most of these games. And let's throw it back to our wonderful analysts as they're going to break down this final map for us.
Guys, it looked so good for NYYRIKKI at the start. They came in, they were pretty aggressive. They got Trailblazers all piled into this small room, ate them up with a Reaper. They had 7 minutes to take point B. What went wrong?
That exact Reaper went wrong. They ran it all 7 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta say, 7 minutes is a little long. I thought it was all right until, they were getting close to a Death Blossom. It worked on point A. I think actually it was a swap. No, they had it the whole time. Yeah, so it worked on point A. They built the Death Blossom, and they used it. It didn't quite work. I'm like, all right, well, what else they got? And then they didn't switch.
They didn't have anything else. They should have. They had 7 minutes to switch. I mean, and that was something that actually kind of happened a lot this series, is when teams were losing, they were really slow to try something new. And ultimately, it was NYYRIKKI's downfall.
I think this is going to give Trailblazers some pretty big bragging rights. And I mean, speaking of Trailblazers, let's talk about Pharmacist's Ana, because it was pretty damn good.
Damn good is an understatement.
I'm sure there were poggers in the chat for all those Ulu plays, but behind every single Genji play, there was Ana just enabling the crap out of him. Clutch sleep darts, clutch bios, every fight.
Yeah, I feel like every bio nade he threw got at least 3 or 4 people. Trance comes out, bio nade. It was his answer to everything, and it worked just fine.
I mean, we do have to give some credit, and we did mention him earlier, but Dommels from the side of NYYRIKKI played pretty well against, this formidable duo in Olu and Falmus. He held his own pretty well, right?
Oh yeah, sick Roadhog. Sick Roadhog.
Yeah, seriously.
And when you saw NYYRIKKI when they can play defensively, right? Like, that was a really good point A defense. Like, that was solid. Like, they lost it because of this or that, right? But, ultimately holding that long on point A is an accomplishment, right? And they got to play that slow pick composition they like, the Junkrat, the Roadhog, the Widowmaker. So when they can play defensively, it works. They just need to learn how to play aggressively, I think.
Yeah.
So, obviously, both teams have got a lot of things to work on. That neither are perfect, but Trailblazers did ultimately take this win. They're going to be going off 8-0, whereas they've locked themselves into playoffs, and NYYRIKKI are now 7-1, probably with their pride hurt a little bit more. What would you like to see both teams go off and work on before they come back and play together again?
For Trailblazers, I want them to just dial back the aggression a smidge. Look at my fingers. A little bit. That's all. And then beyond that, I actually think they're really solid. I love their comps. I love the rotations that they make. They're excellent. It's great. And I think NYYRIKKI just needs to play a lot more aggressively. I think when they need to recognize when they have an advantage and pounce on it, because they create advantages for themselves a lot, but they fail to take advantage, and that's what causes them to lose.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the notes for NYYRIKKI there. Also, meta, and meta, right? Like, I hate to bring it down to that, but there's a reason that we have the meta, right? It is the most efficient tactic available. It's not universally true. Had we seen pocket picks work around the meta, like the soldier on Rialto, it worked.
Yeah,
it's all right.
That was good.
I wouldn't say it was perfect, but it was fine, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, whenever we saw teams get steamrolled today, it was just not playing heroes to their best advantage on maps where they are not good. Right?
Yeah, I think I would agree. And I mean, we've seen talent from both sides, regardless of the outcome.
Exactly.
Which of these players from both teams would you like to maybe one day see in contenders?
Pharmas.
Farmus Ulu. Contenders. If you are scouting for a contenders team right here today, you pick both of them up. Because something we didn't mention though, in the notes they gave us, they did like to bring up that those two players have synergy, and you can see how good it was today.
Yeah, plus Ulu plays a nasty Zarya for a DPS player. That's something you want.
Something magical between those two that I felt deep in my soul. But what about on the side of NYYRIKKI?
Domals. I would have liked. Had the map pool been a little different, or just the comps been a little different, I would have liked to seen Skippa on that Widowmaker more. Yeah. When he was on the Widowmaker, it was a good showing. Like, he wasn't getting caught out very often. Most of the team fights where he was on Widowmaker, he was at the very least laying down solid damage, if not getting picks, right? So I'd be interested to see more from him.
Okay, well, that's all pretty exciting. That was a pretty hype match, and to have it end 3-0 is not what any of us were expecting, I think. But the fight for Finland has been fought. We have Trailblazers sitting on that throne. But for now, we are going to leave you. We will be back soon for a game between Vixen Gaming and Team OU, and we will see you later.